Idaho Falls Pediatrics, proudly supporting kids in our community in 7 Questions with Emmy.
Hey guys, welcome back to 7 Questions with Emmy. Today I'm here in Washington, D.C. talking to Charles Foreman. He is the owner of Everyday Sundae, and it's pretty amazing. You might have seen it on the Drew Barrymore show, and he runs this shop with your son, right?
I do. I
do. So, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Well, thank you. Welcome to Washington.
Should we get started with the questions?
Shoot.
Okay, question number 1. How did you come up with the idea to open an ice cream store?
Wow. All right. So my genesis is that I used to be a chef. I've been a chef in the city for over 20 years. And unfortunately, like a lot of people, when the pandemic happened, I had to pivot. And so I'm working out, trying to keep my mind clear. And a friend of mine said, well, now that you lost your job, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I don't really know. And then she said, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And I was like, wow. So then I had to really think. And so, part of trying to make my mom proud and be a good father and responsible person in the community that I live in, I said I wanted to open up an ice cream shop because I know that ice cream touches more than just one particular race, one particular type of person. It's cross-cultural. So I was like, I know that this would be a bright spot to open up in my community.
Yeah. Question number 2. What flavor is your most popular?
Well, I put it this way. There's a flavor for every person, right? Yeah. And no matter which one that I don't have, that's the one that they're upset about me not having that day. But to answer that question in a different way, my favorite is the cappuccino.
Question number 3. You have said that everyone who wants an ice cream cone gets one, even if they can't afford it. Why do you give away your ice cream?
One of the reasons that I opened up in this location, in this neighborhood, is I'm a long-term resident in this neighborhood. And I've watched it redevelop. I like to use that word instead of other words, but I've watched this neighborhood redevelop. And I see the changes that are happening, which are good. Change is always constant. And I just wanted all the people that have been a part of this neighborhood that may not be able to afford it or that are going through hard times to be able to have a nice little treat. Maybe that's that one thing that brightens their day and changes their mood, and then they go on to do something great. But I think that it's just nice little pick me up, nice little, it's like borrowing a cup of sugar from a neighbor.
Yeah. Question number 4. What have you learned running your own business?
It's one of those things that people see you and they think that you have been doing this forever. Like, oh, he's so successful, but they don't understand how much work it takes just to open the door every day, right? So when they say, oh, being an entrepreneur is one of the hardest things you're gonna do besides being a parent, they're absolutely right. So you learn that I do all the accounting, I do all the bookkeeping, I do all the cleaning, I do all the personal development, all the Instagram, so social media, all those things are on me, and which I love. But you have to really love it. It has to be more than just a passion for you.
Well, if you ever need someone to work for you and we're in Washington, D.C., I'm available.
All right.
Question number 5. When you were my age, did you ever think you'd own an ice cream store? And what job did you want to have?
All right. So I was always one of those kids when you said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I never knew. But I remember probably half your age, I learned I was at a Montessori school and they showed us what they called macrame or crochet.
Yeah.
So I used to make these little yarn bracelets. And I was probably 4 years old. I had a little basket on my bicycle. I made these little pink bracelets and I put them in my basket and I was riding up and down the street. So I knew my whole life that I was a salesperson. So.
Yeah. I am from Idaho, famous for potatoes. Have you ever been to Idaho, and what's your favorite way to have a potato?
So my favorite way to potato, the best way for me to eat a potato is in a French fried fashion.
Yeah.
All right. And I've never been to Idaho, but I hear that they have some of the top class 5 rapids in the world. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, if you want to come, we have some space. We have beds in our house, so extra beds, so you can stay at our house.
I mean, listen, I'm the type of person you can't invite me somewhere because I might show up. But
You
I
can
appreciate the
show
invite.
up.
All right, well, you never know. I might hold you to that.
It's okay. You can show up
Thank you so much.
as long as you give us ice cream. I'm just kidding.
You got it. You got it.
Question number 7. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
That's the one. Okay, we'll go back to that because I
Yeah.
tried to avoid your answer when you asked me what's the popular one. So I'll go back to that one. The most popular in my mind is going to be either cookies and cream or bourbon truffle, right?
Yeah.
And then for me, like I said, I like the cappuccino.
Yeah. I have a bonus question.
All right.
Can you share a piece of advice that might help me and our viewers?
Yes. If I would have known now, if I would have known back then what I know now, is develop your skills early, right? Like you found out what you want to do, you found out what you're good at, invest in it now because in 10 years and 15 years, you'll be so great at it that you won't have to work as hard as I do when you get to my age.
Well, you found out when you were 4 that you wanted to be a salesperson.
This is true, but I didn't work on it as hard as I should have.
Thank you so much for talking with me.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for coming to Washington and visiting us.
Make sure that you come here to Everyday Sundae because I bet their ice cream is really good and you might even meet Charles. That'd be awesome.
Thank you, Emmy. So this is Nicole and her family, right?
Yeah.
Her and 3 other moms would come in on every Friday when I first opened. And I don't know how or if this is the actual story from her perspective, but from my perspective, this is how it happened.
Yeah.
There was a kid in front of her that lives in the neighborhood, and I knew that he didn't have money, so I said, don't worry about it, that scoop is on me. And Nicole saw that because she came back a week later and they handed me an envelope when they were getting their ice cream. And I was so busy on Friday because everybody gets out of school, right? So I opened it and I was like, wow, there was 5 $20 bills. And so the next time I saw her, I was like, what's this for? She was like, I just want you to continue the generosity.
Yeah.
And so I took a picture of it, posted it on Instagram because I was so touched by it. And then other people started doing it, and it just gave the people in the neighborhood the opportunity to show that they cared too. Like, we're all in this together. It gave an opportunity for people to do their best for each other. So people now, even today, they'll come in and they'll be like, I want to buy a scoop for the next person behind me. And people are always paying it forward here. So
That's really cool.
thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Remember, new 7 questions and interviews are posted every Thursday. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Love you guys. Bye.
Idaho Falls Pediatrics, proudly supporting kids in our community, and 7 questions with Emmy.